Hello, everybody. I'm Jeremy, owner-operator of Green 13 for 15 years. Third generation auctioneer and dealer of antiques and collectibles for over 30 years.
We are Lysandra and Tony from ilovediscounts_com with 20 years of experience across brick and mortar, Amazon, eBay, and whatnot. We have built, broken, and rebuilt resale businesses, so you don't have to.
Hi, I'm Tracy, a CPA with over 30 years of audit and tax experience and have worked with businesses in various industries. I am also a seller on Whatnot, eBay, and Etsy.
Welcome to Reselling Roundtable.
Welcome to Reselling Roundtable, everybody.
Good evening, everybody. Today, we're doing a little bit something different than what we normally do. All of us have different topics that we're going to be discussing today. And the fun thing is, none of us really knew until right before this who was picking. Actually, that's not true. I had a sneak peek earlier today at one of the topics. So I have a little bit of a heads up on that. But the topic I wanted to cover today, and it's because it's something that I really didn't think I'd be dealing with ever in my selling career, is what constitutes retail or value of any particular item. Market value is another generalized perspective that you could take on this. But the reason I want to bring that up is because I think, in my opinion, when it comes to retail valuations, and I guess I should define, I should always do that, what my perspective on retail is. And that is when it ends up in an end user's hand, whether you're reselling or whatever it is. To me, retail value is the price that someone pays for it to end up in, at the final final collector, or if you're buying clothing, the person is planning on utilizing it for its intended purpose. And the reason I want to bring it up is because I think that the rigid aspects of what used to be retail is getting layered into live selling and social selling platforms. By way of one of the frustrations that I run into is what I call price policing or price comping in my shows, which to me is an unfortunate negative element that ends up happening on a twofold principle. I end up getting people that I understand want to price comp and give what they perceive, which is where I'm going to end up leading to this. I believe retail comes down more to a perception and exposure to environment than anything that's a real hard and fast number. But what I find in live selling environments, which is our main purpose of this podcast, is people come in and they want to give comps or prices for two reasons essentially. One is to show help you in emphasizing the value, and the other reason is to what I call bid bashing and try to lower the value in a room. And some people just like to show their knowledge. But what most people don't understand, when that happens, they are by proxy influencing the potential outcome of the sale itself, the item that you're selling. And to me, I like my sales to be fair, honest, and I like to be void of that and let my market be my market, because I believe that in the end is what retail prices really are. So wherever you're at, whatever the prices bring, that's your retail. Whether somebody, but that is the price you're going to get. And people are taking these static principles and bringing them in. And I don't like when I'm in an environment and somebody's, even though they're trying to help and give higher valuations to something, I understand that they're trying to be enthusiastic and help. It still potentially causes a buyer or a bidder to pay more than what they naturally would have wanted to otherwise, which could potentially lead to dissatisfied customers, especially when you have the people that are just being also trying to intentionally make people overpay. And it's also on the other end when people are trying to suppress the values. We also don't take into account, which I ran into this situation and kind of do run into these situations where people will say something like, you paid way too much for that. Well, they'll literally call people out for paying too much. And I don't think that's anybody's place to do so in a live selling environment because there's too many facets and factors that are involved, especially in live selling. When you're dealing with a static listing platform, you can comp very easily against each other. There's fewer elements involved. When you have live streaming, you have the elements of entertainment, you have the elements of support, you have there's so many other layers and factors that somebody may be paying for. There's also the elements where I know people are willing to pay more for items because of the deals they got and the money they've made off the items they purchased from us live sellers. So I wanted to throw this concept out there because I know it's something everyone doesn't run into on a regular basis. Some people more than others, but I'm pretty certain if you sell live long enough, you're going to run into this, and it will become a frustration, no matter how big or how small the seller you are. And it's something that I run into on a reoccurring basis. It does happen, not again all the time, but frequently enough. And I ask people to always go back and look and really think about what that truly is. Even static platforms like Amazon, they have repricing models. Like Tony, you're familiar with retail arbitrage, where
100%.
you're literally in one environment, you're taking what is a retail price from somebody that has it for retail on the shelf and taking it to another platform that constitutes a different retail value, and you're making the money in between.
Correct.
So not to mention that they now have complete fluid valuations on platforms like Amazon where the prices fluctuates from minute to hour to hour based on the demand for any said product.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to throw that out to discuss because to me, my belief, retail is basically the static principle of retail, MSRP, things like that is essentially dead with the amount of different opportunities and ways you can buy. And this has really accelerated the fluid principles, in my opinion, of retail value. Live selling, that is what I'm talking about. So I'll leave my little tidbit, my first header here on the topic of conversation, and throw it to you guys if you have anything to say or perspectives. And again, I know that we're doing this on the fly, so we'll see but how this goes. So
Okay. So yeah,
Go
I'll
ahead,
have
Tony.
questions for. Yeah, I will. I'll come back at some of your things, especially with the Amazon thing, because it's insane. um, so I know in a lot of our podcasts we've kind of talked about the things about starting on Whatnot, the things you do on Whatnot. And I'm gonna go back and semi rehash and hopefully provide a little bit more of my opinion on getting started with Whatnot and Whatnot specifically. I know we're all on Whatnot, and I know this is a reselling in general, but we're going to talk. I'm going to talk more just about Whatnot specifically. From my side of it, we'll talk about your first shows. We'll talk about the entertainment of it, as Jeremy just alluded to, and whether you are or not. We talk about shipping and not killing yourself or pulling your hair out over shipping. We'll talk about other things that may be problems in what you're doing, and hopefully you can fix them easily and not giving up after your first 1 to 5 shows with nobody in them, unless you called people to be in them, which we did. And the emotions of it, the emotion of it specifically, and we'll talk about that, because it is an emotional roller coaster on Whatnot. You may start off horrible, you may experience a really great show and get on a great high, and then your next show just flops and you're ready to quit or go join the post office like my wife did. Wasn't because of Whatnot, it was a joke. Just kidding. That's about it. That's kind of what I'm going to be talking about.
Do you have anything to say on Jeremy's topic? Because I've got stuff to talk about on Jeremy's topic before I even talk about.
Oh, you want to go ahead and start bantering
let's
back
talk
and forth
about
on that?
let's talk about his topic for a while first.
Yeah, so I mean, I was just going to go back and just throw out the retail arbitrage. Um, for selling on Amazon in a individual as an individual, you're hoping to go to the store, literally go to Walmart, buy this Gatorade Fit for 84 cents and sell it on Amazon for 2.19. You hope, right? Um, but as Jeremy also said, those prices move, and they move a lot, and they move fast. It's literally 15-minute increments. So you may have that and send it into their warehouse if you can account for fees and their warehouse fees and their FBA shipping fees. Um, you may you you might lose everything in one product, one item. You might invest $2,000 in that and come out making $400 after everything's said and done. So retail arbitrage is great. Amazon has definitely made it a lot harder now, but that's just for that. Uh, I like what you said about the price comping. Um, I agree with you that the retail price of items is whatever it is you get at the time of selling. That's what you should be focused on. That's what you should worry about. I could go to eBay or Amazon and sell that Gatorade Fit for $42, but on Whatnot, I might get $1. So I made a choice to sell on Whatnot. I've made a choice to buy on Whatnot. I'll pay what I'm comfortable paying for it. And really, I feel like everyone else should just honestly butt the hell out.
I don't disagree. I want to bring up one other point kind of on that. I mean, it's not really. I'm recalling as we're talking about this years ago, talking to my cousin. And this is just another perspective. He bought a some sweatshirt made by some I don't know who made it, but he told me what he paid for it, and you could buy it for half price. And I asked him directly, if you could get that for half of what you paid for it, would you do that? And his answer to me was no. His answer was no, because the value to him was in the price he paid for the item itself.
That's interesting.
And I remember talking to other people and realizing that there are personality traits that lend to that, where the value is what you paid for it. To them, that's the value. If you paid less than that, that would devalue the item. Doesn't matter that somebody else had it for that value. What mattered to him is what he paid for it. So it made him feel that it was worth that and made him feel better about what he was wearing.
Or it would
So
just
let's
annoy the
not.
hell out of me.
Yeah, I know, but we are resellers. We are
Yes.
resellers. So our
Yes.
life is looking at prices. There are people out there that are buyers of items. So the way their brains are looking to determine a value of something, whether it's logical or not, their perception on a retail value, again, is not a static principle. It's a fluid principle, and there's so many elements and factors that go into that. And it just I just wanted to throw that out there because it's something else that just was kind of popping in my head here. When we're talking about staying on this topic here,
Wow.
that not only the comps and the fluid aspects of different platforms, different environments, other potential valuation put on, but there's also that other layer of self-imposed value and worth of an item, which can be starkly contrast to what other people would see, especially for people like us that are always looking at prices to determine what we think we can make on something,
Yes.
as opposed to someone that would value it based on what they paid for it. So
I'd bang my head against the wall.
I think it's a really interesting point, though, because it's really the buyer's perception. And, I'm thinking through this right now where, like, I'm thinking like in a true like brick and mortar retail, being able to go to Target and buy a purse is a far different feeling about myself and my economic and my status and my success in life than it is going to Louis Vuitton and buying a purse. So even though I may go to Louis Vuitton and spend, $7,000 where I can go to Target and spend $25, and some people will be like, are you crazy? You can get something, it's a purse. It holds the same stuff inside of it. It's It's that not that I own Louis Vuitton. Let's just clear the area really quick. But, but I can see that, and I don't say this in a like a stuck up type way, but coming from my history of Jeremy, just like you, I've a somewhat similar story, but I've lived in my car, I've been homeless, I had a kid at 17, and so I've been very, very poor in my life to a point where I have a very nice professional job and can buy the things I want. I'll have my own children say, well, you never would have done that 6 years ago. So it's perception, it's that value. I think we attach some of our own personal kind of like, what are we worth to some of the purchases we buy? So I guess I've never really thought about it that way till you said it. And I think that's pretty interesting because as sellers, we can use that, like not in a bad way, not in a manipulative way, but that's to my benefit as a reseller. So I think it's interesting.
You said you had other thoughts.
I do. So when you were talking, in my head, it was like you were really describing two different viewpoints of it. One from the buyer's perspective of, they're influencing prices by putting comps in your chat, either positively or negatively. But then also from the seller's perspective on the other side of that, again, so many of us come from that static listing, and I think you mentioned that static mindset coming into it, but a lot of the sellers are buyers on Whatnot. We know there's a huge percentage of the people who are buying are also, our sellers. So they come to it, and you'll see in the seller's room where it's, $25 or they're showing comps. Comps mean absolutely nothing. When I think about comps, hold zero value on Whatnot. It's a completely different platform, different environment. They're there to buy your products, but I think the products are almost secondary. People are there for the experience. They're buying the experience, which is proven where House of Coop can sell a hen on Nest for $300 and I can have that same dang hen and sell it for 50. They're buying the experience. They're buying the notoriety of the people that they're buying from. So any comp on eBay or Google.
We are not calling out House of Coop.
Oh, not in a bad way. No, not in a bad way. I'm just making a point that they get 300 people in their room. They're very well known. They've had a lot of success on Whatnot, and they sell things for higher value than what I can. But it's because this is what it just backs up the point that comps hold no value because it's about the experience, not necessarily always the product. Do you have to have a good product? Yes, but they're buying that experience. They're buying part of what you're offering. So who cares that eBay has it for whatever or Etsy has it for whatever price? Those are kind of my initial thoughts. I have some others, but let's keep talking. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree 100%. My thing is the education on the part of the buyers and or sellers understanding these principles. And I understand it's hard, but at the rapid pace that this type of selling is evolving, people need to just understand, calm down about it, because to me, it seems like it gets a little crazy sometimes, and I run into it in different categories more so than others. But that's because I don't think it's because it's absent in certain categories. I just think in certain categories that I run items in on a regular basis, my buyers know what I am okay with and what I'm not, and then I go into like a watch category, and I start having problems. As far as the price comps. And then I talk to people like my brother who sells in the coin category, and you have perspective comp, like they just want to be police all over the place. Because you have, like, when you're selling coins, you have people that thinks the coin shouldn't have any value beyond, like, the numismatic value is basically nothing. Personal interest value as far as like birth date coins or anything like that should have they're just very opinionated based on their how they view what the value should be, and want to take nothing else into consideration. And they're really stringent about it. To me, it feels in the coin category, especially when it comes to like silver. I mean, if you get anything over spot value and what they think, no, you shouldn't pay a penny more than, it almost like makes their brains explode in some of those, some of the buyers in that category. And my hope and efforts in talking about this is that people understand exactly what you're saying, that these live selling platforms bring so many more layers to the value of something that people are willing to pay for that you don't have on other platforms. And you used to see it, and you still do, kind of once removed. There were certain like YouTube sellers that would have popular YouTube channels, and then they would put their items up on eBay. And because of their popularity on YouTube, they would get way more. But since it's once removed, people don't connect the dots just because of that simple one platform to another element, kind of like the poker chips, removing the fact that you're throwing dollars on the table, the little round plastic discs removes the concern for the dollars you're spending.
Makes it fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Makes it easier for you to throw money on the table. I mean, the exact same thing's happening there. Essentially, there's a one step of removal. Here, that's
And
not the case. You're
the
getting
same
instant. That's
concept.
happened instantly.
And it exists on eBay. We just don't see it. That's all. I mean, it
Hmm.
exists on eBay. You can have an emotional attachment to an item and go looking for the same cookie jar that grandma had when you were 5. And if you see it, like I may be willing to pay, you know, $1,000 for this cookie jar, and I see it for $100, and I'm like, oh wow, I got it for $100. But had it been on a live sale, maybe I would have bid it up to 1,000 because it has that emotional attachment. So I think it always existed. It's just now we see that. And again, I goes back to what you were saying, the education of it.
Yes, 100%. So
I think excuse me, sorry. I feel like on that example, Tracy, even if it has an emotional attachment to me, I'm still shopping around. I'm not. I have once paid $2,000 for a Movado watch. I will never do that again because I'm smarter about what I'm buying and the price that I'm paying nowadays. But I will shop around, even on eBay. I'll see the watch, and you haven't say, okay, I haven't seen this watch for sale in 5 years. It's $2,000. I'm still not going to jump on it right away. I'm still going to wait. I'll still see if I can get it for cheaper somewhere. Even on eBay, it simply is watching it and waiting for that seller to send me an offer. I will wait. And will I bid it up to something crazy? Maybe sometimes, but usually that's Lysandra. I try not to bid up like that. But
my
again, I realize it's the reseller in me. I understand. I do. I really do. I just call myself a cheapskate, however you want to determine it.
I think some of it comes to it is a personal preference and where you are in life. And I had a conversation with my son earlier today. I have a 22-year-old son, and he's just starting out in life. So, he's broke as broke could be. And we are driving by a gas station. He saw it was like 380 something. He's like, oh my God, 383. That's so great. I got to remember where this gas is. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that's how much a gallon. I said, I never look at gallons anymore. I just look at how much does it cost in total. Like I know I either spend 100 or 130 to fill up my truck. Like he goes, yeah, of course you do. It's the same concept, but we're at different points in life. And I think that's how, we have those both views coming into our shows at the same time. So I don't know how to put that into more of an explanation of words, but hopefully it's coming across what I'm trying to say.
I think that it's more than two views. Obviously, there's a multitude of views, and that's
Yes.
the main factor. That's what I'm talking about. The perception of it is retail is nothing more than a perception anymore, and it's more and more so that way. And I also want to bring it up because it's another topic that people talk about. On the live selling platforms, you see it, and I've seen it in the community shows where people say like certain people selling a certain way or devaluing items, or they're charging people and ripping people off for too much. I mean, are there scrupulous people in here that are taking advantage? Yes, but as a whole, when I say on here, I mean like in live selling. Let me rephrase. We're not, we're used to. I'm used to being on whatnot talking, but as a general rule, if you see the prices that people are getting for the effort and the time and the entertainment they're bringing or whatever factor, I mean, I've had people that pay more for items that they'll self acknowledge I could go over here on eBay and buy it for $30 less, but I would rather buy it from you, you know,
Yeah.
and I appreciate it. I obviously appreciate it. You know, it's no different to me than the people that decide to put money into tipping people or buying, you know, things that are really kind of not worth anything to them just to show support to a seller, you know, things of that nature. And it just frustrates me. Obviously, it frustrates me. Otherwise, I wouldn't bring it up. That I see that happening on both. You know, the people coming in and trying to influence valuations, and then people that try to influence the sales styles of other people by saying that there's people on here that are getting too much or ruining valuations by charging too little or something, or starting things at $1 or whatever that may be. But it all comes down to that. It's all perception. What the value of something that you can get out of something is more than just this static principle. That is gone. It's completely out the window. And the more this type of selling environment gets popular, and it will, there's no doubt about it. This way of selling is going to get bigger and bigger. It's going to be harder and harder to break in, but it's still going to be one of the main, if not eventually, in my opinion, dominant ways of selling, especially when it comes to the reselling attributes of, you know, retail or commerce. The value, like you said, Tracy, is going to be almost outweighed in the way you sell it as opposed to what you're selling. I've all, you know, you've heard me say that before. It's how you sell, it's not what you sell. And you wait until the opportunity for monetization outside of the actual sale of the item starts breaking into these live selling, you know, streams. Then, you know, retail is way. I mean, it's even more fluid, less, you know, it's just going to be pounded further down into that non-existent level of non-existence, that there is no, you know, standard retail value. So,
And then to compound the whole
Especially,
fact,
okay.
and what you're talking about here is that when you're doing a static listing and it's sitting on eBay, there's thousands of eyes on that listing. It's waiting for the right person. We are a small, that on eBay, it's a period of time. We're selling things in a moment in time, and it's highly dependent on who's in the room at that moment in time. We're not
100%.
putting it as a static listing and letting it sit there for a week, a month, 6 months, just waiting for all these eyes to get on it for the one right person to buy it. And that's what I think kind of what Cher in the chat is saying is that, you know, sometimes it just kind of surprises her on if it goes higher or lower, and the perception kind of around that. It all depends on who's in your room at that very 10-second spot that you're running that auction. And we've all seen it as sellers. We've all seen it. I had a show this morning where I ran something. It didn't sell. I waited like 30 minutes later. Somebody requested it. I ran it again and it got bid way up. I'm like, okay,
Right.
I'll take it, you know?
Well, shoot, I've run something and it didn't sell, and someone said, "Hey, I missed that. Can you run it again?" And it went, you know, and I do dollar stars, and it went for $12.
Yeah.
I had 4 people bidding on an item that I had just run, and I don't, you know, I'm not Jeremy swapping my times around or anything. You know, it ran for the 10 seconds. It ran for 10 seconds. Everybody saw it. Everybody's sitting there. It's like, oh, one person said, oh, I missed it. And next thing I know, I've got 4 people bidding it up to $12 10 seconds later. So, yes, it's that part is crazy. And I don't know if it's just people coming in or if it's the FOMO or somebody expressed some interest. So now, oh yeah, that must be worth it. And now we're bidding back and forth, and then the third person comes in and says, oh yeah, I like that too. Or maybe they just extended the bidding long enough for someone to pop into the room who wasn't in there 20 seconds earlier. It's just crazy.
I would say it's an element of any of all those or some of those, you know, and that's the beauty of selling on here, is that can happen.
Yes.
It's because, you know, because of what we're talking about. So
it's also not the beauty that you have to present your item at the moment that someone is in the room, as Tracy was just saying. You have to have it in the room when that person who will bid on it is there. it's so much harder than it is than the static platforms
Yeah.
as far as
I
finding
go
that.
all,
And
I keep
preferably
going.
two people.
Yeah, oh
Two
yeah,
people,
100% two people.
preferably, yes. Oh, I always
Dollar
go
starts,
back
I need
to,
two people.
yeah, the whole, concept of, the difference between a static listing that it's sitting there waiting for the right price is, and all the newbies saying, well, how do I get people in my room to get all this stuff bid up? It doesn't, you can have 300 people in your room and the value that nobody values that item. It could still go for nothing. And I always talk about, picture your room as a circle and you show one item and you have this circle of people. That whole circle isn't interested in your item. That circle shrinks. Then, depending on the price you're running it at, that circle shrinks a little bit more. And then, depending on, characteristics of the item, that circle shrinks even a little bit more. So, getting down to your point, Jeremy, hopefully we have two people at the end of all of that are willing to, want this item. So it's interesting. You can have the item that one day is worth zero, and then the next show is worth $100. It's all perception.
It's fluid.
Yes, fluid.
And
I like
and
that. Yes, fluid.
And it drives me crazy. Hey, I was going to throw out real quick what you said a little bit ago, Jeremy, about the comps in different categories. You talked about the watches and the coins. Just a quick little thing, and this is just me. I feel that you get more comps in the watches, and Bill is always going to get comps in coins because they're easier to look up versus your jewelry, which is not that easy to look up. Can you screenshot it and Google Lens it? 100%. Can you get an accurate assessment of what the true retail value is quick enough to bid and come back with something reasonable? Not always. I've tried. It's really hard to do that in whatnot auctions that literally last 15, 20 seconds max.
That's a good point. I agree.
But coins, watches, those are way more definitively easier to look up. Coins specifically because, I mean, they've got grading scales. There's websites out there with valuations of this coin and this grade and this coin and this grade and this coin with no grade. Those are there's apps nowadays that you can just put it in there and it tells you exactly what the price point is on eBay and other websites and what the value of it should be at auction. So those things are just easier to look up. And I just wanted to throw that out there because it's true. I've seen it in your shows. I know what happens, but I feel like that's why.
I know there's probably more to discuss about this, but I do want to get to the other topics, and we can always circle back to some.
True, we don't have to. I could literally talk about this for 3 weeks.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We could keep going, but there's more topics to discuss. We can always circle back.
All right.
So.
Where are we at? Oh, we're 7. All right. So, again, as I said in the beginning, I know our shows have kind of built up reselling and reselling help, and specifically on Whatnot, but across other platforms, just reselling in general, hopefully at a higher level to where you can associate it to whatever platform you're using to sell. But I'm just going to talk about some things. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been asked several times about becoming a seller on Whatnot and honestly not finding the right information or information deep enough to walk into show number 1 and be ready to go. Is it out there? Kind of, yes. It's in bits and pieces here and there. And am I going to be able to talk for 20, 30 minutes or we have a conversation for 30 minutes and you're ready to go? No. But I'm just going to rehash some things. We're going to talk about it and then we can either ask questions. I also know most of the people who are live are either existing sellers who don't care about this, but hopefully people who come and watch this later will at least bring questions up. So first shows, you're going to come on And you're going to have one of two things. And it's legitimately one of two things. You're either going to have 40 people in your show watching you for the first time because you're awesome and selling stuff, or you're just as awesome and selling fantastic stuff and you have one person in your room. It's just it. Tracy, I believe, is going to talk about this here in a little bit, about this little algorithm thing on Whatnot. It may or may not hit you very well depending on how your show is. So look, if you have one person, if you have 100 people, it doesn't matter. You have to be as entertaining with that one person as you would be with 100 people. You have to have product that is reasonably expected to sell to somebody you don't know in your room. Hopefully for more than $1. I say that because I will almost always push dollar starts in a volume environment, or just wanting to be different as much as you can. There's a lot of dollar start people now, but wanting to be different, wanting to give the customers opportunity to come in and get something for cheap, but it does bring people in your room. So we'll get to sourcing in a minute to allow those dollar starts. Money. Let's talk about money. And Tracy has done this as well. So here we go again. Let's say you spent $500 for your products that you're going to sell. You sold it for $1,000. You walk away and made $500. Good deal. But did you really? Did you account for fees and the shipping and the overages and the cost of shipping supplies and the time that it takes to ship them out, as well as the time it takes to sell it? And what do you value your time at per hour? So make sure, go visit Tracy's show every single week on Whatnot and figure out your dollar situation. But I will say,
but we're going to disagree. I don't think the value of your time goes into that, but we'll get there.
Oh, I'm interested in hearing that.
Why not? Why not? Your time's not worth money.
Your time's worth money.
At the end of the day,
yes.
Are you making what you are worth making selling stuff here versus going out and getting a 9 to 5?
At the end of the day, now those are the key words right there. I agree with it when you're looking at the end of the day and you're looking at it as you have your operating profit, all of your other expenses, and then you have your net profit. Is your net profit supporting your time and effort in this business? So at the end
Correct.
of the day, what I don't agree with... Oh,
you put it at the net at the very end of it versus counting in the numbers.
I do not 100% just... It irks me to no end when I hear sellers saying, well, I had to source it and I had to wash it and my time's worth something. You know what? I'm sorry, on your books, unless you're actually paying yourself a payroll, your time ain't worth nothing. Like, there is no accounting, no accounting entry for your time unless you are paying yourself a payroll. Most of us aren't. Most of us are not yet at that spot where we are writing payroll checks. Now, does your time count at the, like I said, at the net profit and what's left at the end of the day? Does that then justify your efforts in this business? So,
and that's what
where you're going to put your time is, to me, is that distinguishing factor.
So yes, and I agree with Tracy 100% with that, right? I don't account for our time on the front end. I account for our time on the back end. If I run a jewelry show and I have $50 in cost of goods and I sell it for $300 and I net out $250, how much does it cost me to go replace it? How much does it cost me to pay the guy to ship it? How much are my expenses for my building and all this other BS? And how much did Whatnot take out on the top? What's left? Is it worth it for me at the very end of it all to say, okay, I netted out $50 for that. Was that worth a 5-hour show? That's where I'm saying my time. Is it worth my time? Mm-hmm. Now, if I added zeros to those and said, okay, about $500 and I sold 5,000 and I netted out $1,500 after everything was paid for. And oh, damn, now I'm Jeremy. Let's go.
Wait, what?
I'm good. I'm good now. Let's go. I joke with Jeremy. I use Jeremy as a target in the jewelry because, well, he's been doing it a very long time. There's good aspirations and there's bad ones.
Well,
I've seen some bad
it's a
ones.
long time in the whatnot world. I've not been dealing in jewelry for a long time.
That's what I mean. You've been on Whatnot. You've built that following. Every time I sell something comparable to what Jeremy sells it for, we do it. You mentioned House of Coop. Sorry, Coop, not trying to call you out. You mentioned Coop selling this thing for $80 and you sold it for $14. I did the same thing with Jeremy. Damn, he just sold that watch for $400. I sold it for $40. What in the world are we doing?
It's an experience thing. And again, we go back to the perception of value.
But also in the context of what we're talking about, new sellers versus seasoned sellers, that needs to be an expectation of new sellers. You essentially are a new seller in that category.
I am,
So,
100%.
We have to understand those principles as well. Like your value, your self value that we're talking about at the end of the day. You look at it at the end, like Tracy's talking about. Was that worth it? The answer may be no at that time, but can you see that it could be worth it for you to progress? So the same thing. I don't want anybody looking at it as a static principle, and I know that's not what you intend to do here with what you're talking about, Tony. But just I do want to point out, since we're talking about, and you may be touching on this later, be prepared for that and the longer you wait to get involved in live selling, the longer you're gonna have to be prepared to deal with that aspect. The aspect of building your value base going forward. Yes. Every day you wait, the longer it's almost like every day you wait, you're adding a day and 5 hours or 2 days to that timeline because
100%.
It's a rapidly evolving platform.
100%.
Or not even just platform. Where I'm obviously always referring to Whatnot, but just live selling.
Just live selling in general.
Live selling in general. All the platforms that are adopting it, that have the ability and the financial resources to keep it going, it's growing exponentially.
It is.
So,
I think it's
every time
interesting.
someone asks us when they start, we say yesterday. When should I start selling? Yesterday. Last week. You're already behind the 8 ball. Get in there and get going. Sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
No, I think it's interesting what I see. A lot of the questions that are coming in, like during chat shows and stuff, that either I'm doing or I'm in participating, just listening to what other sellers are saying, is people think selling on Whatnot is just click and go live on your phone. And you kind of touched on it, Tony. You talked about, there's a business perspective to it. There's the entertainment value to it. I look at it in 3 sections. You have your business. You have your technical, how do you ship? How do you run all the equipment? How do you push the buttons? You have that part of the show. Then you have the experience. And they don't exist independently of each other. They're all intertwined. And there's such... People get on Whatnot or any other platform, it could be like Instagram live sales or TikTok sales, and they see people doing it successfully and easily. It takes us a long time to be behind the camera to make it look easy and effortless. And it's not. And it's, I'm seeing that people aren't thinking about is, okay, we have these tools. How does price really play into what I'm doing? How do I affect my prices? How do I affect the engagement in the chat? It's not just asking everybody, oh, what state are you from? Put it in the chat. There's so much more to it. That's great that you ask a question. Why are you asking the question? When do you ask these questions? When is the appropriate time? When is it time for you to be, sometimes less is more. So there's so much more to this. How do you utilize the timing of the auction to your best benefit? Should you bundle? Should you not bundle? There are all these things that go into making a show that people don't think about. And these are the things that I'm like, I would never suggest a seller just getting on and jumping right into it. I know most of us have done that, me included. I did enough research, but not as much as I should have. But you press that go live and then you think you're going to be successful. And there's just so much more, and you do it for a month and you're losing money, and you're like, well, I'm doing the same stuff, I'm selling the same things, I'm running auctions, but you're not really. Are you really? The people who make it look so effortless have structure, have systems, have been doing this to put things in place to make it look so effortless. So it's not as easy as it looks, and you can't ignore all of the various pieces of it. It's more than just hitting go live.
I would say this, and I was talking entertainment value next, so that's coming up. But I would say this, I I use I loosely, Lysandra and myself. I love discounts. We have run 15 months. We've probably run in the 15 to 1700 hours of lives in those 15 months. And we worked 140 hours a week in 2025 between our outside business, our whatnot business, our shipping, the whole bit. We have never lost a dollar running a show, not even on show one. We invited 10, 12, 15 people that we knew to come into show one. But even then, things got bid up a little bit. We never had a losing dollar of a show, right? So to put that into perspective for this topic that I'm talking about as a new seller, if you source appropriately, you should never really have that worry or fear or issues of losing money in a show. Will you net profit as much as you hope for at the end of it? Maybe, maybe not. But you can, the sourcing of it alone can avoid losing money in a show. It's just that simple.
But
I believe I've heard Jeremy say it many times that profit begins at sourcing. Period.
It does. And I think Tracy might go along the same. You're talking gross comparison to net. Like you haven't lost anything gross, but you expenses
No
on the
net.
back end. So you've never like net
From
wise, you've never.
from a show, from just the show. I'm not taking into the account.
That's what I
We've
mean.
lost
Like
money over 2025 because of the store and it's part of our
okay, so
business.
okay,
But as far as whatnot itself is concerned, no, we did not lose
net.
money in
You
any,
haven't lost any. You like net
not
wise after expenses.
not on whatnot.
Okay.
No.
I have, and I still to this day do because of the way I run my business is
Yeah.
volume. And sometimes I make bad buys, and I sunken cost fallacy principles. I try to get it off my books, so it's not there causing me issues. And I don't want to veer too far off, but I do want to. It kind of goes parallel. I do as a point to new sellers that I want them to understand as well. Even if someone like me, I get higher prices. You were talking about how I get higher prices than
Mhm.
you. I don't, you're in a different, leaner situation now. Most people are, but I wouldn't beat up yourself if you're a new seller watching other people because other people like me, my cost per item to sell, my back end expenses is astronomically more than anybody else. So the net
More than
dollar
right,
amount that
sure.
I'm getting, you can sell your items for way less than what I get. I have to almost get those valuations to sustain my business model.
Yep.
Whereas a smaller, you don't need to do that to net out the same that I'm gonna get in the end. I
That's
just
right.
wanted to throw that out there so it's not, like people strive to like, oh, I want to get to these valuations that other people are getting to. That doesn't matter. Tracy will be the first one to scream it at the mountaintops. It's what you're taking home at the end that matters.
Yep.
And my costs, like if you're small and you're doing it your own, you're nimble, you can recycle. We've been through all those phases where
Yep.
you're using recycled boxes, you're reusing, you're recycling packing material, all that, all those attributes, all those elements. You're not paying other people. You're not dealing with the overhead costs of employments, insurances, giant buildings, leases, and all that. You're not dealing with that.
Yep.
So you only need to get a fraction of what I get out of my merchandise, as
Trust
what
me, if
Tony's
I
going to be going into, as long as you're sourcing. appropriately. You don't need to
Trust
get the
me,
valuation.
my cost of goods, if I got anywhere near what you got, I'm hop skipping and jumping myself home. I'm telling you right now, because
Yeah.
my cost of goods is nowhere near what Jeremy's is going to be for what he's selling.
I
Even
think
if I
the
was
two.
selling the exact same thing as Jeremy,
Oh yeah.
I would not pay anywhere near what he pays because I would be too scared of the dollar start without the 3.5 years of historical data for jewelry selling.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tracy. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I actually think the two topics that both of you came up with already tied together in this specific instance is where people come from static listings. They don't source appropriately because they think I'm getting eBay prices. So they spend more on sourcing and end up losing money in the beginning because their sourcing isn't right. So, I mean,
It's not necessarily the unrealistic expectations. It's just about what I just said, the historical knowledge of what you can make on whatnot. You won't know until you've done it for a while, right? So to tie into what you're saying is they're paying what they pay for eBay. They bring it to whatnot. They're losing money because they have no idea that they're not going to get eBay prices on whatnot 97% of the time. Period.
And then
live with it, folks.
And then they think it's just selling. It's just, oh, I just have to sell this item. I just hold this up and I talk about it and then I get money for it. I mean, how many people in a room, if I could start talking about KPIs and nobody knows what a KPI is, and I'm like, there's ways, what are your KPIs? How do you improve those? You know, if I want if I want my average order value to go up, I can tell you 5 things that I need to do in order to increase my average order value. People aren't thinking like that. And then that's their, they come into it. And again, I go back to, they think it's so easy, and there's really a lot more to it than what they want to consider.
I have almost lost buying opportunities, sourcing opportunities, and purchases because somebody watched me sell merchandise.
One of your
Really?
Your
sources,
and they think they think like, why I'm just going to go on and sell this stuff for these prices.
Yep.
So it's real. It's there. There's a lot of people out there that have that perception that it's like you just go on and run and sell stuff. It's like, good luck to you.
Hey, look, we have had regular customers in our show over the 15 months, more specifically towards the first half, where we were on 3 days a week, running 24 hours alive in those 3 days, and just selling the hell out of product at reasonable prices for health and beauty. We have had several people come to us and want to do the same thing. They saw it, right? They didn't ask about the back end. They didn't ask about, how much we paid for stuff, where we got it. They weren't asking for sourcing. They just wanted to sell on whatnot. That's it. And I, always open as we are, I'm like, yeah, I will help you get started on whatnot if that's what you want to do. We had a local couple here who frequented our grocery store. We had them in our warehouse. We showed them the back end of whatnot. I had them in the room during a live. I mean, I literally showed them everything. And God love him. Couldn't get more than 2 people in his room, period, ever. And he ran shows for a month and could never get more than 2 to 3 people in his room. But he is not my next section, which is entertainment.
Okay.
I
see where you're going with this. Move on.
I wasn't. No. It just naturally flowed right into it because that is one of the most important parts of live selling. Is you have to be entertaining enough to draw a crowd, hold a crowd, and get folks to bid on the items that you're presenting to them. It's just that simple. And if you are none of those, unless you have the most fantastic product in the world that you're starting at $1, you're going to be very hard pressed to get people in there and keep coming back.
cheap merchandise, valuable merchandise at inexpensive prices is very entertaining for people.
Yes, it is. And that's what I'm
But
saying.
I'm gonna throw a little more than just more of a broader statement than entertaining. I think engaging. Like, when I view it, and that's my perspective, entertainment is like, you're putting on a show, you're doing, but I think there's plenty of people that are strategically engaging enough to
Yeah.
be successful. But
Yeah.
I think what ultimately I think you're getting at, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you think you're just going to come on, show an item, throw a measuring tape up there or something, and say,
Yep.
okay, it's up, it's running, you're not going to make it. That's not gonna fly. You're not gonna gain any traction.
Engaging is a great secondary to that. Yes, I should have said them both. In my world, I feel like I do both. I don't consider myself entertaining. I consider myself engaging. I feel like I try to know all the people who come in my room regularly. I try to make it a place where they want to come, hang out, enjoy the night, buy some stuff, and move on to the next show. But yes, you're right. It's not just entertainment. Engagement is a huge part of it.
Entertainment can get you there if you want to just do that. I'm just saying that it's there. There's other opportunity. The only reason I'm pointing that out is I want to make sure people understand there are other pathways, but it's still not just hitting that run button.
It's a fair point.
I don't like, I honestly don't like the words entertainment or engaging isn't so bad at all when I'm talking to new sellers. I like, what is the experience you're creating? Because I think you can craft an experience. I think anybody can create an experience easier than, when I first started Whatnot, I heard the same thing. Oh, you have to be entertaining. And it led, my mind, because of course I'm a planner and I like to, figure out what I'm doing. My mind was like, well, what do I need to do to be entertaining? I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't do any of these things I'm seeing these other Whatnot sellers do. I don't crack jokes. Like I'm a CPA. I'm pretty straightforward. I'm not like the most entertaining person, right? So it really hindered me at the very beginning when I heard, oh, you have to be entertaining. And then it was engaging. And I'm like, I don't even talk to people. Like I'm like a total introvert. I don't even talk to people. How am I supposed to be engaging? I dread small talk, right? So those words were really hard for me to conceptualize on how does that work. I wasn't able to kind of wrap my head around it till I thought about the experience. What am I crafting for my buyers? That in itself led to the engagement and the entertainment. And of course, my husband came on board then and did graphics, which kind of helped with the dryness that I bring. So, I had a little bit of help in the department, but it was more about what am I crafting? And I think anybody can craft a show. I'm not talking like it has to be scripted, but you could figure out, you could sit there and, well, I can tell a story about this, or, and some of it's practice. Some of it is just getting there and doing it over and over and getting comfortable with, 100%. Randomly and telling a story just on the fly. But for me, it's more about how do you craft that experience for people than it is so much that I need to be something.
My base word that I use and still do is the environment.
Yeah.
You guys hear me say that all the time on my chat show.
Environment.
You create the however you go about doing it, you can create a successful environment, and I will to this day, and I am always going to say this. It's, not what you sell. I said it earlier. It's how you sell it.
There you go.
And that can be a multitude of ways. It's a matter of finding what mixes with your personality and how you like to go about doing things. So there's room on here for every a bunch of personality types. Some people are gonna have a harder time finding that, that attribute to provide them with the success, but it's there to be had.
It's a whole different ballgame than the static selling.
It is. And it's
but
what makes them
that stuff
unique.
And forget it, right?
What do you bring?
What appeal it?
Not just what do you bring, but can you bring it? Can you? You mentioned earlier, almost anybody can create that. I don't know that just about anybody can create a positive selling experience on a live selling platform.
Well,
I would not say everybody.
Okay. I would
There's,
Okay, there's certain
I'm going to
people.
disagree with that, Tracy.
No, there's
because
certain
I've seen
people.
some
I agree.
really
Yes,
crappy
there's some
things out
bad
there.
people. Yeah.
Hold on. Would you consider the? We're not going to throw names out there, but the one person that I've now seen in the jewelry category that doesn't say a single word
Oh,
and just holds up a piece of jewelry
the Verge
and
one, the Verge show.
yes.
Yeah.
Would you consider that a successful stream?
No, I think it's a waste of
It,
live selling time. Why they're losing all their advantage of live selling right there.
I don't disagree that they're not leveraging all the potential.
no,
I'm
they're
trying
not
to boil
leveraging.
down to what kind of environment, how simple it could potentially be, but yet still successful. But I don't I don't know if they're successful. Time will tell if they stay on and
Yeah.
keep going. That's some type of metric of success. We all know what they're selling.
Yes.
We all know
Yeah.
exactly what it is. It's
Yes.
merchandise that costs pennies and they're going for
Pennies.
dollars, and it's all
Yes.
about, they're taking volume to the extreme.
100%.
And their metrics suffer. They don't have high, but I'm just trying again. I'm always trying to look. I'm trying to give some type of perspective that gives a broader range of potential success for people that are looking to get on these apps. The
Something
live
different.
selling opportunities out there. I don't think. I think they could make way more if they decided to have somebody that actually engaged a little bit.
Absolutely.
But they're still they're on. They're doing a
Garen?
lot of dollars per hour. And
Yes,
it's small
sir.
stuff that's easy to ship.
Yes, sir.
And they're probably buying in colossal bulk and getting it for next to nothing. So
Yes,
just
sir.
just throwing it. I mean, that comes down to engaging on the sourcing side, but I'm just trying to
I think the engagement side of that show,
environment. They're creating a
the
really
if
unique environment.
it's a unique environment. And if you were to use the engaging, I think the product is what's engaging and the quickness of it. And I think the reality is for what they're doing and how they're doing it, not talking is great. I've watched the show. I've never bought. I'm not going to buy it. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to do $1 and free shipping on them, and I might swipe through and get some dollar vouchers. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, I might, whatever. But I'm not sitting there for hours trying to watch or trying to find something. But I've watched the show, and I guarantee I can tell you what they're paying by the piece, and I'm pretty sure that's a
I'm
profitable
sorry, guys. I lost
venture.
sound. Give me a second. Get my sound fixed.
Yeah, you're good.
My-
I'm
my-
pretty sure that's going to be a profitable venture. They've been on long enough now. I think they would have quit by now.
Yeah.
They've been on for a minute.
My perspective on that, though, as well. There's a plus and minus. I just wanted to bring that to the forefront of eligible opportunities for people that are new, that don't, concerned about it. It's
Yes.
still creating an environment, but it can be done with a large swath of people. However, that also brings to the fact that if that became a successful selling style, your competition is going to get absolutely enormous. Like
Yes.
if that's doing well and people catch on, that's very easily to replicate, and then there's going to be saturation. I'm not saying to go in and do that. My point in bringing that up was there's a lot of opportunity to create an environment that is profitable on here if you look at it from the right perspective.
Yes.
I like
and I was just
SS
gonna
Vintage
okay.
comment says there's more train wrecks and success stories. Yes,
Yeah,
there's more
of
train
course there
wrecks,
is.
but I think the train wrecks have opportunity. They're just not grasping it.
Yes.
Yes.
It's easier to become a train wreck in a live selling platform than it is on a static platform. Way easier.
Well,
So
there's a lot of opportunities for train wreck. I mean, we've all experienced our own train wreck on
yes, sir, we have.
live selling. It
Yeah.
happens to everybody. It's inevitable.
Yes.
From the I remember early shows. One person's comment. You had to learn through experience what comments and how to deal with them through the entire show. Just like completely off, and then suddenly I couldn't sell anything and make any money because I brought attention to whatever somebody
Yep.
brought up, and I wasn't prepared or ready or familiar enough with anything about selling on the platform at the time. So it derailed, created a colossal train wreck.
Absolutely.
So
And yeah, so I was going to talk about the entertainment. We're good on the entertainment side of that. Um, I will throw in that you should learn the tech. You should learn the back end of Whatnot. You should or any live selling platform. I'm sorry, I don't mean to associate this just with Whatnot, but that's where my mind is today and my world is. So your tech, your inventory, your pricing, your performance, and the building trust with the people you want to come in there. But you should have most of that worked out as best you can, at least have a good solid plan before coming on and doing the live. We are prime examples of not knowing anything about Whatnot when we started selling on show number one. We are our first show, I think we sold 150, 160 items. That was mostly local pickup, so it didn't hurt us too much. But then our second show was with other people, and it was like a 400 item show that took us 4 days to ship and hours of my wife crying because we didn't know anything about it, nothing. So learn those, and as much as Jeremy loves talking about shipping, listen, learn the shipping, learn bits and pieces. It's the easiest and simplest way to learn even a little bit is a private show with one person, and I don't care who the person is, somebody with a credit card who can purchase some items at your different auction levels and see how the shipping works out. That should be your first thing on shipping, and then ask questions from there. But just learn basics and don't kill yourself in the back end of it, because shipping shipping will humble you here on, especially on Whatnot. It is nowhere
I,
near as easy as other platforms of selling product. And
I, I was lucky for that because I grew up on Whatnot when shipping was nowhere near as much of a headache.
oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's grown
So
to
I got
become
to
easy.
learn as the changes came
Yeah,
along. I
yeah.
got to, I had the
Mhm.
benefit of that.
Uh,
So that's,
and
an,
and
an
and
aspect
let's
that
be
people can't repeat.
no, 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 not anymore. No. And let's be honest, guys, messing up shipping can completely wipe out profitability of a show. We have done it. We have done it as experienced sellers
Hmm.
where Lysandra set up a show and set it up incorrectly, and we sold 222 items that all should have went PWE that we ended up paying 458 for shipping on every single one of them. We lost money. I sold 222 items and lost money. So it's easy to do whether you're new or not. So I'm just watch your P's and Q's in the shipping area. What else?
I don't know what else you have before we go over to Tracy's topic.
Uh, Two things. Your stuff might be your problem. You might have great stuff. You might have terrible stuff. You might have great stuff and can't sell it. You might have terrible stuff and can sell it. But if you can't sell it and you've looked at some of these other options that we have, look at your product. Maybe it's as Tracy said earlier, and see, this is going to relate to almost every section, right? We
It
can
is,
always
yeah.
relate it back and forth. You have to have the right person in the right room, and hopefully two people for bidding, but you have to have the right people in the room to bid on the items you're showing. If you're not showing the items that they want in the room, you either have poorer quality product, or you just don't have the people, or you don't have enough people. Most of the time, you'll have, even if you have a subset of people, 10 or less, there's at least one reseller in there, and they're happy to pick all your stuff up for $1 or $3 because they know they can sell it for 25 somewhere else. That's your people issue. But if you're not going to do dollar starts, where do you go? And hopefully you can still sell them at a price that you're comfortable with. If you are going to do dollar starts, because that's our world, all three of us, for the most part, can you get enough based on the type of merchandise that you're selling? So I can tell you to buy expensive stuff at cheap prices. Duh, everybody knows that that's what they want to do. I want to I want to get the Rolexes for $50 and $75 and sell them for $2,000. Let's go. That'd be amazing.
Who told you I got it for $50 or $75?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Jack. Let's go.
They didn't.
That was hypothetical. I was not saying
I would
that's
love
what
to
you
do
paid
that
for.
too. That'd be
Right,
awesome.
that's what I'm saying. We would all love to pay $75 for a Rolex to sell for $2,000, but the reality is you're paying $1,000 to hopefully sell it for $2,000. And if you don't have people in the room, even with a Rolex, it's not going to get to $1,000.
Listen, in full transparency, when it comes to that, I practice what I preach. When I sell those higher level dollar priced items, my margin is way lower on those. So I'm not doubling up on a $2,500 watch.
Yeah.
That is not happening. Just to be, when I buy that stuff, I pay fair prices that I am pretty comfortable knowing that I should get enough to make something on it, but I'm a per unit person.
Yep.
So as a unit, I'm still making way more on that Rolex than I would on, an Elgin or, some other watch that I'm selling, or one of the standard pocket watches I sell. But, I pay, I pay a decent chunk of change for that stuff.
But
anyway,
that's the beauty of volume selling, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be real. Grocery stores operate on what, a 12%, 15% profit margin?
Mm-hmm.
It's volume. It's all volume. And that's been our experience with Whatnot. It's volume. I probably will never double up on the cost of an item, but I make enough and I sell enough items to make the money that it's okay to do so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then just lastly, listen, it's going to be great. It's going to be bad. Don't get sucked into it. We all have used consistency as the key. Your first show is fantastic. Your second show flops. You're going to say, hey, look, I can run this for a week, and maybe they're all good for a week, and then week 2, they're all terrible. And then you just want to quit. It takes months. It takes years to truly build a good core customer base to make it work long term. It does. Nothing.
That's in any business too. So this isn't any different than.
Not necessarily in static platforms.
True. I know what you're saying.
I don't have a customer base for eBay unless I focus in one specific niche, right?
Yeah.
My impression is most people who come into live selling were static sellers to begin with. That's what I have seen for the most part of what I know of people on Whatnot.
Yeah.
So I equate it to that most new people who are coming in have been static sellers at some point, and that's what they're going to equate it to.
Yeah, I want to make one mention on that. Essentially, I agree with you. In my terminology, it's a roller coaster.
That's exactly right.
And what you have to be aware of when you come on these, it's live selling, it's social. So it's like a double-sided roller coaster, because wherever you're at in your personal life, it affects your show. And your show can affect you personally. So you're tackling it from both ends, which can cause the roller coaster to be all that much more sporadic and, influence the outcome. So just be prepared for that and know it's normal and it's going to happen. If you're human, it's going to happen.
I made this comment the other day
The
in my show.
emotional roller coaster.
Is that what you wrote?
Yeah.
What were you saying, Tracy? I'm sorry.
I made a comment in my show the other day, because we were actually talking about business growth, is that you don't plant a garden and you put some water on it and expect to see a bunch of tomatoes tomorrow. It's you're watering it, you're weeding it, you're waiting. And that's the same with business. Business growth is almost invisible and it's extremely slow. And, then all of a sudden one day you wake up and you look back, you're like, wow, look what I've done. And Whatnot's no different. Any online platform's no different. It takes time, and it takes that showing up, that consistency, that putting in the effort time and time again. I wanted to touch on, Tony, you talked about, the sourcing and the volume side from a more of a smaller, like, niche side of that. One of the things I see new sellers failing in consistently is, particularly like in the vintage decor type category, they're buying the onesies, twosies, and trust me, this is how I shop. So I understand the methodology in, buying at auctions and not getting pallets of stuff. But they'll go to Goodwill or something and buy an item. They do their comps on eBay. Again, we go back to our whole comp thing, but they'll do a comp on eBay and then think they're going to get $10 for it. Well, they're not also realizing that seller has to pay $9.21 for that too. Your $10 item now becomes our seller, your buyer is a $20 item to your buyer. It's this, where a lot of times on eBay, some of that shipping's probably built into those prices. They're playing with those numbers to make it look more, advantageous for the people buying it. So it's not just all in sourcing, but it's in sourcing and then how you're pricing it. And then we go back to our expectations and what we can realistically get out of these things. So it's looking at that bigger picture when you're doing the onesies, twosies. I can't have an item that's worth $8 and ask $8 plus $9 in shipping. Well, it's not a $17 item. It's an $8 item. Maybe that's why you're not selling your item. Let's take a step back and start thinking about other ways to do this.
Definitely some reasons why. Yeah, I mean the thing with that, Tracy, is, and we know this, but you have to have a good mix of items that will get people to pay the shipping, because this isn't Amazon. It's not free shipping, folks. Although we have all tried it. We have all tried it. One of us is still there. I'm not. Nah, hell with that. At this point in our whatnot juncture, no, I'm good with without free shipping. But you have to have the items that are valuable enough to pay X amount of dollars with the shipping, and then those other items, I've secured free shipping, so I can add them in, but they come at a cost to us, right? So we also have to make sure that those sell for enough profit that it doesn't hurt us, that we have to pay for the second $9.21 box because that person bought 42 items, or the fifth and sixth box that we have to pay shipping for now. So I mean, it's a
Or they get so caught up on one item, they're not willing to lose money on a few items for the greater good of making money.
Yes, I was there.
Huge problem.
Yeah, I was there in the beginning. I was absolutely there. But coming from the static mindset, it's easy to do. Lastly, I'm done after this. It's 7:45. I'm running out. Whatnot is not easy. It is simple. It's not easy. People who will succeed doing Whatnot will not quit after bad shows or quiet shows. They won't quit. They'll keep going through. They won't quit after making some bad buys. Everybody's going to make bad buys because of the flux of the sales. It might sell for great. It might not. Who knows? It's very flux depending on who's in your room, and they don't quit because of slow growth. You sit, you grind it out, you make it better. Every show you go back and change something if it's not going well or you feel it's not going well. You have to play with you have to play with your product, you have to play with your settings. You have to always evolve the show into something that allows it to grow. And now I'm done. That was a lot.
All right, so my turn.
You're up.
Wait, are we on to a new topic now? So
thank God.
I believe so. Yes.
I was going to talk about the algorithm. This is just one of those things that is like my biggest pet peeve. So I think, as we've mentioned, so many people come from static listing sites, where the algorithm is highly important. You need to get your one little listing viewed in a whole sea of thousands upon thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of listings. So learning how that algorithm works to push your listing up to the top is vitally important on sites like eBay or Etsy or some of these other type of static listing sites. I can really care less about the algorithm on Whatnot. I really don't. And it's more about selling, doing what you're supposed to do as a business, providing good customer service, showing up on time, not just showing up, but showing up on time, running a good show, selling your stuff, and having that crafting that good experience. That is far more important. We get so many. I got a whole bunch of thoughts on this, but we hear so much sellers on Whatnot of, well, if you do this, if you tap the screen, or if you get a lot of bookmarks, it'll push you up. And if you do this and tell them to do this and make you get higher in the algorithm, who really cares? What are you there to do? It's not a static listing site. It's that same mentality. I mean, I just wish there'd be this huge banner when you sign up for Whatnot. This is not a static listing site. Quit thinking like that. Like, it's just because there's so many things that the people think like that. I really could just care less about the algorithm, in the fact that if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, Whatnot will push my show higher and higher and higher. They say so themselves. If you're in Jeremy's show this morning, he went through all of the Whatnot, like the help at whatnot.com about discoverability. And it all says the same thing. It boils down to a few key points. The tips for sellers. There are 3 big tips for sellers, kind of boiled down to great buyer experience, which encompasses being on time, showing items, responding, engaging. So basically, are you selling? Are you running stuff? Are you selling stuff? And are you engaging? Kind of boils down to that. Compliance with guidelines. So are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? And accurate categorization. Basically, are you providing a good buying experience? If you are, don't worry about the algorithm. So I kind of just shortened that whole up. I had 2 pages of notes, but I shortened it up so that I can hear Jeremy and Tony's thoughts, and then we can discuss it a little bit more.
Well, I'm gonna go in there, and I want to discuss it more, because I separate, and I think there's a confusion there. I separate there's 2 elements. Okay, there's discoverability, which I look at it from the perspective of feeds, which is only works on this platform as a result of live action, of being on live, to get bumped in feeds. That's discoverability principles. And then there's kind of what you're talking about. People get caught up in the principles of like keyword searches and SEO. They're 2
Yes.
separate things. Okay. So when people are talking about, you need to do this and you need to say this, you need to describe things this way, or all these technical, more SEO related things, what I think people don't understand is, you said you wanted a banner. That's never going to happen, because we all know that the live selling platforms want you to do static listings. But the reality is they want that for SEO optimization for the platform as a whole. That's not, I mean, as far as the benefit to individual person, it's very minor. The goal of Whatnot and other live streaming platforms to push those SEOs is to get it out there for their advertising that they do on SEO centric advertising platforms.
100%.
It's not for you to be discovered on the platform you're selling on.
No.
For you to be discovered and to be predominantly shown, that's your discoverability factor, which has really nothing to do with SEO, with the generalized principles of how people shop on these type of platforms. And that scroll shopping, that's going into the different feeds, which then you're talking, what you're talking about is your discoverability factors. And that's providing the customer service, the good engagement, and what, like you heard me say earlier, I boiled it down to the same thing I saw when they were talking about each feed attribute was activity. Okay.
Yep.
And obviously coupled with good metrics by providing great customer experiences. And none of the SEO stuff is going to push you up in those feeds.
No.
Not at all.
The
They don't
SEO
talk.
stuff, like I said, is for the platform as
Yep.
an umbrella aspect to the platform. So
The
Nowhere in
SEO The SEO is for the Google searches to
for the
bring the people onto Whatnot to buy the products that are in the people's shops or bins or buy it now or shop, whatever you want to call it, and show them that Whatnot exists. That is SEO optimization.
Absolutely. I listed I found 5 things that I did not see in the Whatnot explanation at all, that are things that you hear people say, oh, this will boost you in the algorithm. Tapping the screen, as I put, having the perfect SEO, bookmarks, followers, and giveaways. These are all things that you'll hear people say, oh, well, get people to follow you. Buy my sponsorship and get people to follow you, and that's going to help you grow and get boosted in the algorithm. Do giveaways. If you do more giveaways, it pushes you up in the... Nowhere in there, in the Whatnot stuff, did it list any of those things. Now, could we expand and say, well, if you're doing a giveaway, you're having some activity? Maybe it's a stretch, but it's not specifically called out. It's not talked
but
about.
they spell out. If you go read it, they spell out the activity
do.
that they want you, and that is the important things that put money in their pocket.
Correct.
Which makes sense.
Correct.
Being live, the only way you're going to really put that, I mean, they're predominantly and by its main valuation proposition is live selling. There's too many other competitive static listings, so obviously that's not going to be their main competitive focus for selling items for you and trying to get you to sell items or to get buyers to buy items on these live selling platforms. So, the activity that they like to see is going to be the stuff that puts money in their pocket, of course. Bidding, actual sale, which is going to create a sale. And the way you're going to be able to do that is by going live. So being live and running things, I mean, and this was kind of intuitive for me because I never even read this, and that's, you always hear me say the ABS principles, because that's the 3 things that are the most important to Whatnot. And they said it in black and white. You want to be on as often as you possibly can, run as many items as you possibly can, and be on as long as you possibly can, because the more exposure you have for that live sale banner is what's going to push you up in their, well, I hate to use the word algorithm, but in their discoverability factors that they use. Algorithm always speaks to SEO, but I think that's a big thing that I think people need to take away, because they kind of put both of those together, and I think that's where the frustration is, and people don't understand that the SEO principles are for a completely different attribute to Whatnot, and the discoverability principles are what you're really after. For success on here.
And let's be honest, unless you have access to the code, you don't know.
You don't know.
You
and
don't
anybody
know that
selling you
discoverability,
something,
right?
if there's people selling you something that this is what you need to do to get recognized by the algorithm, oh my God, please don't pay for that. Just don't.
Right. I mean, Jeremy just said the handful of items that are in black and white on their discoverability, it's there. Are there additional things? I mean,
of course there are.
Can you talk about the hearts and the giveaways and sudden death versus regular auctions causing the discoverability to become a little more engaging? Can paying for the promotion, that absolutely 100% kicks it up, because, well, I've tested all of those options, right? Just normal chat. We don't know 100% to lay down the law and say this is going to make it work.
Well, your other problem is it's going to be you can't, I hate to use the word fluid again, but you got to realize it's based on whatever's going on at that time.
100%.
So if there's not somebody else running sudden death and the only difference between that in their equation that would bump you above another person would be because you're running sudden death.
Mm-hmm.
The next day that may not be the case because 30 other people are running sudden death at the same time you are. So that factor is not as much, not going to be, I mean, that's self-explanatory. So you're never going to pinpoint it. You're never going to find out what works best.
Now, I know sudden death brings people into a show and stops them, and they stay longer, versus non-sudden death. I know that for a fact. I don't know if that's part of the coding or if it's just people seeing it happen and you're running auctions and they want to see, hey, look, he's going to be running a whole lot of sudden death and we can probably get some really good deals. But I've tested it too many times to know that if I run an all sudden death show, my room count is easily double
I would
what it
But
argue
is
normally
it
that.
would be.
sudden death? Is it sudden death, or is it the activity of the buying? I mean, it's the activity.
Well, when I do sudden death at dollar starts, everything is bought.
Well,
Well, yeah, exactly. It's that
here's the
activity.
deal.
But on the same side, when I'm not, I mean, back when Health
Yeah.
and Beauty and dollar starts, almost everything was bought
Hmm.
when it wasn't sudden death as well, right? So
When
those
you,
are comparing the same to each other versus the sudden death versus not sudden death.
I'm gonna throw something out there because I've found that not to be true for me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think it all depends because you got to look at it from this perspective. Okay, so could it be a potential big motivator and swing for you to success? I'm not saying that that's not the case. I think it depends on where you're at and what you've cultivated on this platform. I've been on for 5 years now,
Mhm.
cultivated a specific type of, I spent a lot of time growing a base of buyers that have expectations. And guess what? One of the expectations is not sudden death because
Sudden
I
death.
did not run it. I use it sometimes as a tool. I'm not
Mhm.
against it. I use it, but I'm always letting people know why I'm using it so the people that are accustomed to my selling style
Know
don't
why
leave
you switched.
because
Yes.
if I don't, my room count goes down.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
people do leave.
oh,
I'm
don't get me
and
wrong.
my
I
dollar, but
understand
my
that. There's
dollar
plenty
amount.
of people that hate sudden death.
I know, but what I'm
They can't
saying is you
swipe it
yeah,
well enough,
yeah,
right?
you're talking about how sudden death definitely can increase. It
Mhm.
can, but it's not a guaranteed sure thing because of the way I built my business up. That is not what my core base buyers are looking for or interested in. There are people that want it, but I notice a decrease in the room like in the room count and the longevity. If I run sudden death for an extended period of time, it does hurt me. So I have to be very um, um, informative on why and how I'm going to run the sudden death when I decide to run it.
Fair
And
point.
I do it in very specific instances where, like I've said before, okay, I have a bunch of earrings. So the people that don't want to see earrings know I'm going to get done with this in a quick period of time, so they stay as a result of me deciding to do something. But I have to let them know that. If I
Yes.
don't, then I
They're
start losing.
gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I just don't want to throw out like when you say that for a fact that it does it. I'm telling you, for me, that's not a fact, and I think
I
that's the reason why.
and it's a fair point, but you have built up your customer
Mhm.
base for
Yeah,
that, and their expectation is you don't do that.
yeah.
And I'm just gonna say, in my 15 months of testing, because I don't normally run a sudden death show.
Hmm.
That's not where I'm at.
Yeah.
But we have tested it
Hmm.
enough to know that when I am, that room count is up there.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily make more money on sudden death. Typically I make less money on sudden death.
Hmm.
But more people are coming in, which means either the sudden death action itself, with all the people scrolling through the room, gets more to stop and watch,
Hmm.
or the sudden death action itself is in the discoverability.
Yeah.
It's one of those two.
Yeah. Well, I think the opportunity to capitalize on sudden death is there, and I think it's actually more there for people that are newer to get boot, like what you're talking, the elements that you're talking about, the factors.
Yes.
I don't think like I always said, I think it's a tool to be utilized. And if it's something you end up liking and that's your base that you end up building based on, sudden death, that's awesome. But I think it's also something you can utilize amongst a lot of other things that the platform offers, utilizing it as a tool to increase your momentum on the platform.
Yeah.
So, but Tracy, you seem like you have something to say because me
Yep.
and Tony have been
Sorry,
rambling on about
we're
something.
taking all of your time.
No, that's okay. I bottom line, quit focusing on the algorithm, focus on your business. It's as simple as that. Focus on the business. I had wrote down some notes on an analogy. I love to like compare things to brick and mortar stores because let's face it, brick and mortar stores have been in existence for a lot longer. And I think there's a lot of core concepts that apply to what we're doing. Whether you agree with that or not, it's they're core basic concepts, and you just got to make it work for the e-commerce type, the live selling. Be open consistently. So think brick and mortar, be open consistently. Be on as much as you can be on. Clean and well lit. Have good lighting. Have good clean products, clean space. Make sure what they're seeing is enjoyable to see. Inviting from the outside. So have a thumbnail to encourage them to come in to begin with. Have people coming and going. You want that activity. You want the movement in your room, and have customers interacting and buying. That's basically, the secret sauce to get people coming in your door at a brick and mortar. It works the same way here on Whatnot. It's focus on your business, focus on what you're doing in your business, and who cares about what the algorithm is doing? It will respond in the appropriate way if you're buying, if you're selling stuff, you're doing what you're supposed to do as a business. We just don't need to put as much thought into it as I hear constantly.
No. We can all probably agree on the fact that your best marketing is going live.
100%.
I mean,
I will not lie, and I would be remiss to say that my software testing brain is absolutely interested in that algorithm. I'm not gonna lie. I will test until Whatnot shuts itself down to figure it out to the best of my ability. I might even at some point go get a job at Whatnot just to have a little bit of an in. I'm not gonna lie about that either. That's how my brain works, though. I need to know how it works, especially on the software side. I've spent too many years breaking things, so I wouldn't mind knowing it for to help with the show. Because listen, everybody looks for an advantage, right? Everybody looks for the next thing. We've talked about this many times. Everybody looks for some sort of advantage. If you can know specifically the things that it's looking for, that's an advantage.
Well, it's an advantage for what? To get your show at the top of their phone screen?
No.
Is that really going to change it that much?
It has potential.
I just don't think it's going to change it that much.
You don't think that if you pay for promoting your show and it gets pumped up to the top of that screen, that you're not going to get more people scrolling through than you would if you're in the normal state?
Honestly,
you absolutely do. I've done it.
I'm going to say no. You know why I think that mindset or that viewpoint of it is wrong for Whatnot? Because live selling gives us the opportunity to create repeat buyers. My repeat buyer base should be the higher buyer base. That's the part that's going to bring me the money. My repeat buyers. Now, do I need new people coming in? Yes. But I think the new people can happen organically without me stressing about the algorithm. I'm more dependent on my repeat buyers because that's the advantage live selling gives me. Whereas the static sites, I need to depend on the algorithm. So that's just my view. And I'm just not concerned about the algorithm. I think if I do my job and do it well.
My experience, you've heard me say this with the paying for it because I've done it, is completely opposite of what you say your experience has been.
I know for a fact that paying for promotion and those listen, we blew Whatnot up in our first 3 months. I paid for every hour of promotion. I did every 5-minute giveaways all the way through every single show. We ran constant products and we were semi-engaging and entertaining, as good as Lysandra and Tony can be. But I mean, to the point where people were coming to us and saying, what in the heck are you guys doing over there? but I'm not doing anything different than anybody else is or was at that time. I know those factors played a role in us growing as fast as we did. I know it. It it absolutely is. When we stopped doing all those things, I grew at a much slower rate. Now that could be because I found all the people who find Tony and Lysandra engaging and entertaining, and everybody else just passes through. But I also think a lot less people see us on a regular basis
I got a question.
because I'm not spending that $30 an hour or every 5 minute giveaways and running sudden death auctions.
I have a question on that. And you don't
Yeah.
have to disclose any confidential information. I would never ask you to give numbers you're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
So is this, when you're looking at the growth there, are you basing that, like the metric that you're using to determine that you grew faster with the promotions and all of that versus not doing it? Is that people in your room, number of sales per hour, or is it like average order value? Like what's the metric that growth is tied to?
All of the above.
So
So
you,
I can take the health and beauty shows that were selling similar products at the time we started, and I can say that on average they were handling 20, 30 people. They were selling on average $3 to $5, and they were selling, however long they were selling, however fast they were selling, 150, 200 items in a show. All right. I watch enough to know that I can watch a show and average out what they're making gross minus fees and stuff. I don't know what they pay for anything, but I can see how many people they hold. I can see the average selling price, and I can see how many items they sold. And then I compare it to what I did as a newcomer into the category and triple it by doing the giveaways, by doing the promoting, obviously being live consistently. And we were running way longer shows back then. We were running 6 to 10 or 12 hours a show, which obviously helps. I'm live longer, but I was paying for promotion that much time for that much time too. Every hour of every show was being promoted. Every 5 minute giveaway was being given away. So, but I feel like those things. Look, I'm not telling anybody to go spend $30 an hour and do giveaways every 5 minutes. I just think for that time and space when I Live Discounts became active on Whatnot, those propelled us in a different situation than what I was watching other sellers not doing it. That was our initial way of being different than what most other sellers in the health and beauty was doing.
Okay. My question to you then, it was profitable, you're saying.
100%.
So is there a reason you stopped doing it?
Well, one, we quit buying health and beauty.
Okay.
Because
I'm talking absent of I'm just talking about a generalized thing for
just a
the viewers
generalized
at large.
So one, Lysandra decided that we didn't want to pay for promotion anymore. I still kind of fight her on that fairly regularly because I saw what it did. I know it's a factor in our growth, and I want to keep doing it. But with all the outside influences for finances and our financial situation, it's best for us not to do it. But I still want to do it. But no, we switched, right? So not doing the health and beauty anymore in that category. I can't say in the jewelry aspect, if I do those same things, will it do the same thing as it did with us in health and beauty? Because I've not tried it. I don't pay for promotions. We don't do the giveaways like we used to. I've been running him for 4 or 5 months. I might take a 4 or 5 month stint and go try that and see how much different it can or can't be. I might go do that. And I love my wife, but I'm sorry, I'm going to maybe try it and see what happens.
That's why I'm asking. because I always love testing stuff.
I
Yeah.
know, I know. And me
And so,
too.
well, so far, every time that when Whatnot was giving money for us to test out their promotion, anytime I paid for promotion, my counts, my exposure was lower.
That's crazy. That's
It's
crazy.
not. It's I which makes you wonder how much influence it had for you, considering you were in a category that Whatnot was trying to promote itself.
Maybe, maybe.
So
But I know when I was promoting versus not promoting, our viewers scroll people, concurrent people or not concurrent, just people who came into the show, substantially higher, and concurrent was also substantially higher than non-promoting. Like, to the point where we look at it, and her and I would look at it, and it was worth X amount of dollars per hour. Now, I would never go crazy. I'm not paying 40, 50, 7. I mean, at one point, they were asking $81 an hour for promoting. 81.
yeah,
That was,
that's one of the other principles that I'm not a big fan of. That
Yeah.
there's that the valuations of those are not static valuations determined based on demand. And that's why I have a hard time believing that it works, because if it worked, it would still boil down to all the larger sellers that could afford to basically pay for it and outprice everybody else would own where they already are.
yes.
And that's not happening.
Yeah.
That's why I also doubt the value in doing that that's why I never decided, oh, I'm going to go test that any more than the amount that I've already tested it, because I believe if it truly worked, that's where things would be anyway, where they already are. It's just that Whatnot would be taking more money in the end. But I don't, if it was valuable, that's every single one of those big sellers would be paying for the promotion to make sure they stayed on top, because they could afford to do so.
Yeah.
Because they'd
Well-
be driving up the price. I mean,
Cher
that's-
makes a good Cher makes a good point in the chat. I agree with the promotion or not. When the people come in your room, you have to grab their attention. You have to be that, as we went back before, entertaining, engaging environment, to keep them in your room. So I agree with that. Where the stumbling block for me on promotion is, one, the lack of proof that it works, and then two, I agree, any marketing 1 to 2% return. So that tells me, though, even if we go high end at a 2% return, you're telling me that by promoting, I'm going to get at least 100 people in. 2% of 100 people is 2 people. So I'm going to possibly get 100 people that if I pay to promote, Whatnot's going to drive 100 people into my show, where I could, at the high end of what to expect is maybe 2 people to buy something. I'm not sure I'm seeing a good return on that right now. Like, I can't wrap my head around that one yet. That's where I struggle.
Number one, when we were paying to promote, it was the $20, $25 an hour range, and Whatnot was bringing in between 600 and 1,000 people per hour. That was how many people were Whatnot said would become.
See, if I even look at vintage decor category, and maybe this is more category specific too, so maybe promoting is very different based on what category you're in. So I'm only speaking from vintage. Like, when I did a show at 8 o'clock this morning, there was 780 something people in the whole vintage. So that's kind of expecting that, 50% of the people that are generally shopping in my category at a given hour are going to be coming in my room. Like, these are the numbers that I want from Whatnot in order for me to make promoting make sense. That on average, if you have this many people in the category, this is how many people we are seeing coming in your room. Thus, this is how many purchases we're seeing. Like, I want it laid out before I would even put $1 in to promote it. I want statistical proof.
It would have been nicer to have it laid out to figure out the numbers and make sure that it was accurate 100%. But it does tell you when you're paying to promote how many people will be coming through your room per hour.
Yeah,
so
I don't trust those numbers. I don't trust them, because the numbers that I know are inaccurate. When they tell me, when I had promotions going on, they tell me, oh, this person bought as a result of the promotion, and the person's like, no, I've been here the whole time.
And that is one of the reasons we stopped doing it as well, because we know that we had a customer in our show with no promotion going on, and they had bought something with no promotion going on. And then I think the show was dragging a little bit, and I decided to run a promotion for a few hours, 2 hours maybe. And I ran that promotion, and Whatnot counted that person as a person who purchased during a promotion period. And that was
As a
one of the
result of the promotion.
yeah, as a result of the promotion, but they had already purchased prior to even running the promotion. So I looked, Lysandra and I talked, and she won that argument, and I gave it to her that said, I don't think that they were necessarily providing accurate information on the promotions. So we quit doing them across the board. I might throw a 15 or 30 minute one up once in a while, but it's been a couple months since I've even clicked the button for promoting.
Yeah, my only, like I said, I wouldn't be opposed to trying it at some point in time just because I like testing it. But so far, any time that I've done the incremental tests for it, it just doesn't show any type of benefit to me. And you're saying that when you did it, there was a financial benefit to you for doing it.
All I can tell you is how we started. Would Tony and Lysandra have been as successful on Whatnot without that marketing budget and clicking that promoting and doing those giveaways? I see most of the people that start today, and I think probably not.
Okay.
I don't think we would have been. And based on what I've seen over the 15 months, I don't think we would have come anywhere near it.
I also don't want to keep beating you up over the promotions since we have
No,
only
no,
10
no.
minutes left.
But there's a
I
really
don't
good
mind. I'll
comment.
talk about it.
There's a really good comment in the chat, and I love this because I was just kind of pondering this myself from a buyer's perspective, because we always need to put ourselves in the buyer's shoes. Kat and Jen says, I've never been sent to a promoted show. I've never been notified that a promoted show was happening. I don't know if I can even tell if a show is promoted or not. I totally agree. I don't know if I've ever been sent to how do you know?
So I will tell you this. If you go to the home screen of Whatnot, you will see shows, and they will say sponsored. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you can make a choice to click into that show or not. However, where the promotion comes in play is when you're scrolling through shows. You're already in a show, you swipe out of that show into the next one. You will get sent into a promoted or a sponsored show without even knowing it. You will.
They'll prioritize you in the
They will prioritize my show in the swipe.
You're talking people that decide to go through their feed essentially via just swiping up and down.
So
as opposed to going out. Like if you're not like me, I go out to my feed to decide if I'm going to go looking. I'm not a swiper.
I've never really
swipe up and down into different rooms.
You guys don't?
No. I go out because I want to look.
That's so much fun, though.
Yeah, no, I go look in the category and then choose by looking at thumbnails and names.
Jeremy, I can understand because he doesn't spend time enjoying the Whatnot experience outside of his own show. But no, I do both, right? So I will look at my wall. I will see who's live that I want to go see. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I will just swipe and let Whatnot take me where it wants to take me.
Well,
and
I think when you swipe, it's just going in the order of your feed. So if you're sponsored,
it does not. It absolutely does not. It does not. It tries to keep you in the same category you're in, but eventually you're all over the board.
I am so ready to promote for 4 weeks and write down all the numbers and analyze this and talk about it on this show. I am let's get to the bottom of this.
It won't be cheap, but okay.
I mean, look, my shows are an hour and a half. Yeah, I write hour and a half long shows. I'm like, my husband's over there going, no, we're not spending money. But I'm like,
throw $50 into each show. throw $50 into each show and look at it at the end of the month. I mean, $25 an hour, and then look at the numbers on both ends, and then you'll have the answer for your situation. Now, listen. We always say this when we are helping out a buyer, period, or a seller, period, plain and simple. I can tell you anything that you want me to tell you about how I do things, but it does not apply to every single seller. And I'm going to caveat all this to it may or may not apply to every type or seller out there. I can't guarantee the numbers, right? I can't. I haven't run those software. I haven't run that testing scenario in Jeremy's room or in Tracy's room or in anybody else's room except my own. So I don't know how it will impact anybody else. I just know what it did for us at the beginning.
So out of all this, the only thing that I'd like to experiment, but whether I'm going to or not is I don't know. But I'm more curious now as to the amount of people that just go
Swipe.
to shows via that swipe.
Yeah, me
mechanism.
too.
I'm
Well-
curious to what percentage of people utilize that as opposed to the method in which I employ. If I'm going to go somewhere, I leave the show and go and scroll through what piques my interest. I'm never a big fan. I'm not a fan. The same reason why I won't go into sponsored shows. I don't feel like I don't like being sold something. And when I swipe,
Yes.
I'm not making a decision. I like to make decisions
Yes.
on what I'm going to do when I'm moving forward.
Yes.
And swiping is a fractional decision for something that essentially the majority of that decision is not mine. It's already bad enough when I leave that they're deciding what they're going to put on my feed, let alone just totally letting it up to them to play roulette with. If you're saying that it's not your feed that you're swiping through,
It's
which
not
then
your feed.
lends
I'm
to-
telling you that right now.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. That throws into a colossal curiosity to me because of what we were talking about earlier with Tracy and what I was talking about in my chat show earlier of discoverability. If a large portion of people are just randomly and there's no rhyme or reason other than maybe an advertisement that they throw in there, that's just that's weird. Like, is that part? They don't talk about that I'm aware of in their black and white terminology that, when somebody's swipe searching, this is how you get pushed up in the discoverability factor. Like, to be the first person when they decide to swipe up, left, right, whichever way you end up going in order to get into another room. What determines that?
I would bet money that is part of it, of the promoting it for that when people are swiping out into the room to bump them up into that swipe feature. I guarantee it is.
I'm talking from the top down perspective of discoverability or your SEO, whatever your algorithmic opportunities are of influence on here.
I'm with
That
I'm with
comparison going out to
timetable.
your feeds.
I'm with timetable.
So here,
I'm with timetable.
Yeah.
If I swipe is by mistake, and I swipe right out because I don't have the ability to judge. I don't want to be in someone's show just because. And so I'm with Jeremy in this in terms of I would much rather do free shipping and eat the shipping cost rather than promote.
so let me ask you this. And I'm not saying it's a fact. I'm not saying it's what's going to happen. But let me ask you this. What if promoting your show for $30 an hour provided the same results as free shipping, whatever uptick free shipping was, at most likely a lesser cost?
Are you asking would I do it if
I-
I found?
I was just asking Noel.
I doubt it.
What
I
if
highly
promoting the?
Because,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because free shipping is gonna give you at least a better chance of a buyer versus a promoting that is not guarantee you that there's gonna be a buyer in there.
But what if both of those scenarios brought the same amount of people into your room, but the promotion was cheaper?
Okay,
But
well,
you're still
I would
missing
rephrase
the
that.
point. The
If
point
it brings
is-
in the same amount of profit.
Yeah, the
Profit,
point is the
profit.
profit. It's
If
not
it brings
bringing
the same-
people in. If the people are coming in, that doesn't guarantee me profit. And so I much rather have the profit that is going
Nor
to
does free
bring.
shipping, though.
Yeah. So, Tony, I'll answer your question. I mean, that's a black and white perspective. You're giving it an as if, or, not as if you're given the scenario, if it was cheaper, but it did the same thing, of course I'm going to do the cheaper thing.
Of course.
Yeah.
But-
The question is, does
But
it?
both of those questions, but both of those scenarios are completely out in outer space, right? We can't prove either one of them can bring people in and purchase stuff for us to net more profit at the end of the show. I can't look, I know free shipping killed us. Our profitability went way down after that. Did we get more buyers? Yes. Did we lose more money? Yes. Did it go on for 4 months? Yes. It spiked up and then it was a steady decline down. It wasn't a long-term solution for us. We lost a lot of money with free shipping. More so than how much I was paying to promote a show when I was promoting a show. Period. So, again, I'm not advocating every seller should go out and promote their show. That is not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is
Explore.
we were talking about the algorithm and discoverability. Promotion is absolutely part of discoverability and bringing people into your room. It is still 100% on the seller to keep those people in the room. Period. Plain and simple. It's 8:30. How much longer do you want to go?
All I know is that I'm super curious now, like curious enough to like want to figure this out. My husband is not. No, but he's over there going, "We're not doing it. We're not doing it." But
I'm curious to a certain extent, and I always, like I said, other than my experience so far, but I'm more curious now because I'm always wanting to know how people are navigating the app.
And you need that. You need to know that now that they've taken off where they could watch your show from the outside. Mm-hmm. That hurt a lot of people. That hurt.
That was colossally. My room count dropped by 30 people on average when they took that out.
100%.
That's still available. Still, you can still do that.
Do it.
You have to you have to hold it and click it. Yes,
and it's available, but it's not. It's not. It doesn't cater to the TikTok brain.
It does not.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
That is not an easy way to do it.
Activity. You have to do something actionable to make it happen.
Yes.
Which in this world is like crossing a four-lane highway. To get to the other side. It's just the way people's minds are like, and then the people have to know that it's even an option. Before you didn't have to know it just happened.
It just happened. Hey, listen, I've been on the app for 1.5 years almost, right? I know that I can I can press and hold on somebody's show and I can watch from the outside. Do I do it? No. Never.
But on the flip side of that, what's unfortunate is, did I go into shows that just popped up involuntarily? Yes, I did.
Yes.
Me too. And I'm not even on there much. When I would scroll through and something would pop up, I'm like, what the heck's going on there? I would go in.
Absolutely.
So that's a confounding and confusing aspect that they took away. They desperately need to bring back.
That was horrible. But anyway, go ahead, Tracy. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I think one of our future shows, it's okay. One of our future shows may be coming up soon. We can talk a little bit more about free or reduced shipping because Cher made a good point that she's seen free and reduced it didn't work for her, that she's back to regular shipping. Her average order value has gone up. I would have to argue with that in the fact that there are so many changes in your scenario that there's so many variables in what you've done in your comeback not that you ever left, but like you took a little break and kind of like your reemergence, that there are so many new things that how do we know which one of those new things is a success factor? I think there's
There's
too many variables
there's too many
to pinpoint.
scenarios or
Yeah.
variables in
Um,
shares show. Yeah,
which I
I
think
agree
you make a
100%
very
with that.
interesting case study to look at all of that and break it down. But it's like, I think when you came back, there was a lot of different things happening all at once. And so I would question which one of those, or is it the combination of all of them, or what it is. However, I think the free and reduced shipping is a good topic that we may consider coming up soon. So something to talk about. Jeremy's
That
like, I
sounds
don't
like
want
a
to
fun
talk
topic.
shipping.
No, I'll talk about shipping all day when it comes to business strategy and deciding to use free or reduced shipping.
Correct.
It falls into that
Not on
100%.
not on how to
You
set
know
it
what?
up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not here to talk
Reduced
about the
less per
technicals
show
of setting
standard.
up.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
Gotcha.
I think unless we have anything else to say, it is 8:34. I'm playing timekeeper. I'm stealing your spot there.
You're happy to have it.
So
No, I'm good. I apologize, but
I don't know if Tracy was the last one to have it. If there's anything
Yeah,
else you wanted to
I'm
touch
good.
on.
We're good.
Okay, because this is another topic, the discoverability aspects and all that. We could go on, it's much like a lot of the things we've talked about. We're definitely going to be revisiting and try to talk about it more in depth.
so real quick, hey Tracy, you're going to Austin? Yes?
I am going to Austin, yes, in a few weeks.
So why don't we make it a point to talk to some of the Whatnot people that are going to be there and see if we can find any way to narrow down the discoverability functionality, even if it's just little tidbits or little snippets here and there that maybe we can come back and rehash this a little bit more,
I think,
but
yeah.
with some true facts that
I think if I were to go, one of the approaches I would definitely take is that one we were just talking about, because they paint the picture of what is effective in the discoverability world on your feeds, but we're talking people scrolling. So ask them that. That's a real, like, hey, you guys spell it out in this aspect, but is there anywhere I can go find out how it works over here in this search, the way if people are searching this way? You understand that when people are keyword searching, it's an SEO principle. You also understand how it works in your feeds, but you don't understand how it works in
on the
swipe method.
Yep.
And I think that would be, they may even be like, I never even thought about it and might want to get back to you. But I think that would be a constructive way of doing it without thinking you're trying to find out the answers to the algorithm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. Somebody on the back end intentionally programmed it to work that way. But there's like 3 people that know how it actually works.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, I'm done with it.
All right, everybody.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to leave things off. So
Yes. Thank you
I will,
so
Millicent.
much.
Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you everybody for joining us this evening.
And you all
See you next
click
week, everyone.
Click the like button so that we can be discovered on YouTube.
Oh yes, please help our discoverability. Thank you so much.
Indeed.